Today's guest hung out with me and Joe on the KMOT anchor desk.
Join me now, it's former KMOT News anchor, reporter, producer, Charlee Young. Charlie, it's great to catch up since you've moved on back to Utah. We're going to get into what you're doing now, but let's talk about what you were doing then. What was it like growing up out there? I don't know what the nickname for the state is. You'll have to tell me that and all that good stuff. Tell me a little bit about just being there in Utah.
Okay, yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me on, Ben. But Utah's great. It's, you've got the 4 seasons. It's not super cold in the wintertime. The snow's beautiful. I don't know. I grew up on a sheep ranch, and so I felt like I was able to experience the farm life, and I don't know. Life in Utah's great. I love Utah.
That's right. You grew up on a sheep ranch. Do you guys have a lot of good sweaters growing up?
I actually did. Lots of good sweaters. We have sheepskin and a lot of great blankets. I keep wool blankets on my bed now because it's just comforting.
It was all, but it's too close to have like lamb as a meal for you, or what?
No, I still love lamb. Mm-hmm. That's a classic in the Young household. So that's like the Sunday dinner best, lamb roast that my mom will cook up.
Okay, so I guess you never named any of that because you'd be too attached, or what?
Okay, well, every once in a while. So if the lambs didn't have a mom, I would take care of them. I'd bottle feed them. Mm-hmm. And so I would name them. And then every once in a while, I didn't know what happened to my lamb. And I'm pretty sure we were eating it, which was really sad. So I didn't ask because I didn't want to know.
How about just being the sheep mom? Is that going to prepare you well to be a mother of your own, considering you're probably badgered about having grandkids pretty soon?
I am very badgered about having a baby, but I don't know. I mean, it's just like taking care of a dog or your cat fancy,
Yeah,
your
exactly.
Your maternal instincts probably kick in because it's this living thing you have to take care of, so...
All right, I'll take the pressure right off of you now. So how much of an outdoors fan are you from growing up in Utah? There's a lot of good landscape out there, right?
Oh, heck yeah. I grew up right on the Wasatch Front. Huge mountains. I'm looking at them right now. They're just, massive mountains to my east. And yeah, so we did a ton of hiking, dirt biking, kind of everything outdoorsy. We really took advantage of it. Outdoors is definitely my thing. Oh, man, if you ever have the chance, come to Utah and I'll show you the best of it.
Yes. So you said mountains, and I know that's not around here anyway, but just
No.
Outdoors in general, did any of that translate? For you able to, explore maybe, the Badlands around here? That's kind of like mountains, but they're dug into the ground instead? Or just going out and hanging out?
Oh, yeah. Lake Metagoshi. That was up north. That was one of my favorite places in North Dakota because you had that beautiful landscape, you had that beautiful lake to hang out at. In fact, Dan and I, my husband, we definitely spent a lot of time up there in the summer times because it was fun to kind of be in those mountain ranges and enjoy the outdoors.
Now that you're breaking everyone's heart from back here in North Dakota, mentioning your husband already, I want to ask you about another lake job because it ties in with that and Lake Metagoshi as well. You grew up as a lifeguard at the Brigham City pool. Okay. So when you're doing that, did anyone ever try to pull the squints move on you, pretend that they were drowning just to get close to Charlie?
Oh my heck. Well, it wasn't, this kid didn't pretend he was drowning, but I do have a story that makes me laugh because I was lifeguarding. I did it a little bit in college, just, in the summer times when I had a break from school. And this kid once came up to me and said, "Lifeguard, you need to save me. I can't breathe." I said, "Yes, you can. I can see you. You can breathe." He said, "No, you're taking my breath away."
Oh, man.
And it just was so funny. This kid, he was probably 12, just trying to pull the moves. But, it struck me funny. I got a good laugh out of that one.
Did he make you blush? Did you have to, jump into the pool to get out of the situation, or what?
No, Ben, I did not. It just was funny. I told the kid, I was like, "You're fine." He swam away.
You're like, "God is my boyfriend," or something like that.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Very good. So, when that wasn't happening to you, how were you not bored as a lifeguard? Did you have a waterproof cell phone or what? Because there's luckily enough, I don't really see much happening at pools nowadays.
Oh no, Ben, cell phones. That's breaking the rules. I had to pay attention to the
really?
water.
Dang.
Well, yes. I mean, there were times it did get boring. Sometimes if I was sitting up on that stand, like Wendy Peppercorn, I totally fell asleep. And then I'd wake up because we were at our stations for 15 minutes apiece, and then we'd switch. And the person would come to switch me, and I had totally fallen asleep. And I'd wake up thinking, oh my heck, is everyone okay? I can't believe I just fell asleep. But it was nice because it was so warm.
So you clearly had like the Wendy shades on, or what?
Oh, definitely.
Just
you
to get
always
away with
have
it?
the Wendy shades.
Yes, absolutely.
And the sunscreen.
Oh, yeah, you got to have that here. I think if I was ever a lifeguard, nothing was going on, like every now and again, I would just yell at kids to be like, hey, no peeing. And then just call it.
Then I could see you getting hot, standing in the sun, and just pretend whistling to jump in and cool off.
Oh, yeah. Like, slipped because, like, I burn and it'd be horrible for me. Okay, yeah, absolutely. That must have been so much fun. Another thing that I wanted to ask you about growing up was, like being a coug. I mean, I guess that's kind of like not an that's more of an older person question, but you were a BYU Cougar. Okay, let's just say that.
Oh yeah.
Was it an easy choice to go there?
You know, it really actually wasn't. I had plans at another university up north at Utah State. I had different scholarships I was offered, and I wasn't even going to apply for BYU, and then my mom just kept pushing me and was like, you should just think about it. I think it would be a good decision for you. And so I applied, and I got in, and it's actually it's a harder school to get into in Utah, and so when I got in, I was like, maybe I'll go there. And I did. So it wasn't my first choice, but I'm really, I don't regret it at all. I'm glad I went there.
They're tougher on the Utes to get in? I would think it'd be the other way around.
It's probably about the same, BYU and Utah. They're both decently hard to get into.
Didn't your mom kind of give you a tip about, like, hey, try news out?
So it was actually my grandma.
Oh, okay.
So my freshman year of college, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So my grandma sat down with me and was like, she just named off every career choice I could ever possibly imagine. And I didn't want to do any of them. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going nowhere. And finally she was like, what about a news anchor? I could see you doing that. And I was like, yeah, I could see myself doing that. And that was the only thing that even interested me. And so that's what I went to school for.
What else did you do when you were at school, like activity-wise?
I did a lot of socializing because what is school without socializing? So, I wasn't necessarily in any clubs. I really was more just hanging out at the parties.
Oh, yeah?
So
there's BYU Kool-Aid parties?
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
A lot of alcohol-free parties.
Oh, fantastic. That's the right way to go, right, kids?
That's right. Exactly. Stay safe.
All right, so when you get out of there and away from the Kool-Aid, what was your intern experience like in New York? I had just thought of that, actually.
Oh, my heck. It was fantastic. I had the opportunity to go to Manhattan and live on the Upper East Side for a summer. And my internship was in Chelsea Market at New York 1, and it was so amazing. I mean, we're talking about the #1 news capital of America, and I was able to go to these crazy crime scenes and fires. I sat in some cool courtroom hearings, and I was able to get the best of it. So it definitely really solidified my decision to go into the news because I really enjoyed my time in New York.
What were all the tourist traps that you got to go to?
Oh, I did everything. One of my favorite, though, so if you ever visit Bend, you have to do this. You have to take the ferry over to Governor's Island, and you have to rent a bike and ride the bike around Governor's Island. That was one of my favorite things I did. It was so fun. But there's so many things to do. I mean, the decisions, the things to do are endless.
I wanted to ask, just on top of that, how much do you enjoy living your life basic?
Ben, we have discussed this. I like being basic. If I ever go to Philadelphia, I'm going to eat a Philly cheesesteak and run the rocky stairs. So, I love it.
Charlie said that unprompted one time. We were talking about taking vacations and stuff, and she said, hey, Ben, whenever you're back in Pennsylvania, I'll have to check it out sometime, you know? I want to land in Philadelphia. I want to have a cheesesteak and run up the rocky stairs, and I just, like, frown at her, and there's, like, a pregnant pause. No pressure again, Charlie. But a pregnant pause of, like, I don't say anything, and Charlie's just like, oh, did I just say, like, the most basic thing I could possibly say? And I was just like, yeah, I'm afraid so.
Okay, but in my defense, doesn't everyone want to do that when they visit Philly?
Yeah, I know. So that's the definition of basic.
Okay.
That's not even where, like, I'm really from. Like, you can come to Amish country and have their great food there.
Okay, well, why don't you show me the best of both worlds, Ben?
Okay, yeah, we'll definitely get that done someday. So that was probably one of your last stops, the East Coast, before you finally get out to Minot. How did you kind of end up landing the KMOT gig, and how did you make that call?
Okay, this is a funny story because after I graduated college, I was in Italy with my two best girlfriends.
Like the polar opposite of North Dakota.
What?
The polar opposite of North Dakota.
That's right, polar opposite. And my good friend, so all three of us had graduated from the broadcast journalism program at BYU. And my friend had actually applied for that job at KMOT, but the previous week she took a job in Boise. And so when Joe called McKenna, she was like, you know, I actually already took a job, but my friend might be interested in it. And so she gave Joe all of my information, and Joe called me, and we just talked, and things seemed right, and moved across the country to North Dakota.
So then,
kind of on a limb.
That was like an international call? You were in Italy the whole time?
Yeah, I was. When Joe called me, I was in Italy. And I sent in my resume and my information from Italy because I had happened to just take my laptop. And then when I got back to the States, then we got more serious about our calls.
Yeah, okay. Can't believe how far the internet actually reaches. That's crazy. So
I know, crazy.
Let's get into what you were doing here. You were the main anchor on set. When you had time away from, like, producing the newscast behind the scenes, you did a couple reporting stories, but I want to just hammer home, like, that producing responsibility that you have. For those that don't really know, can you kind of get into what that really is, and what were maybe the best parts, and maybe some other times that could be more difficult when you just had the freedom of planning the 10 o'clock news at KMOT?
Yeah, sure. So producing, I actually really enjoyed it because it let me show some creativity. So pretty much when you produce a newscast, you start from scratch and you figure out the most important stories of the day, locally and nationally and worldwide. And so it was really just going in, figuring out what stories I know I wanted in the newscast, and then just organizing them. And it's kind of tricky because, you know, you could have a really great national story and a really great local story, but you've got to kind of figure out what is more important to the people to hear first.
What's
because
relatable?
you always put the most important first. So that was definitely a challenge because it was almost like so much freedom. I could do whatever I wanted with it, but it was a lot of fun. There were definitely times when I would get stressed. We'd have breaking news. I mean, Ben, you've been there. You know exactly what it is. There's breaking news at like 9:50, and all of a sudden we're sending someone out to go cover it, and then you're rushing as fast as you can to hurry and get the 10 o'clock show done. And of course, Joe was my superstar, and he definitely helped me so much in times like that. And so did you, Ben. Honestly, I remember so many times I was like, Ben, I need help. You were so willing to help me. So it was a blast. Honestly, producing a show, it's just a creativity of fun.
I know that we were at the same cubicle in the newsroom, so we hit it off just fine. But how much chemistry did you and Joe have on the desk?
You know, I feel like we got pretty good by the end. When we first started, and I didn't know Joe very well, it was hard for me to be his co-anchor because he was my boss. And for some reason, it was hard for me just to kind of open up. But, you know, honestly, Joe's a lifelong friend. You know, we really hit it off eventually, and we became good friends, and I feel like that really showed on air.
Yeah, he's a good dude for sure. I mean, like, I've been here long enough where, like, he wasn't even promoted to news director before, so it was always interesting to see, like, the new hires that he brought in and how, their relationships were, like, a little bit different than what I've had with Joe, and then they realized that he's a a good, players coach or like a really somebody that's can be open or like loose to talk to, things like that. Speaking of chemistry, how did you and your husband Dant first meet?
Oh my heck. Me and Dan, we go way back. We went to high school together, actually. He's older than I am, but I knew who he was, and we had mutual friends, so we hung out. But it wasn't until we got into college that we got set up by a mutual friend, and we started dating.
Did you say set up or fed up?
Set up.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. Didn't you go to, or I guess maybe you too, didn't you say that a lot of the times, like, that high school was like Napoleon Dynamite's high school?
So Napoleon Dynamite was filmed in the town where Dant's family is from, so Preston, Idaho. Mm-hmm. So it's so funny because we'll go up for Christmas parties and Thanksgiving and things like that. And this is it. So last Christmas, our Windward Christmas party was at Dant's aunt's chicken farm. And it was the same chicken farm in Napoleon Dynamite. So if you've seen it.
Like the actual same one?
The actual same one.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I know.
That's
crazy. My claim to fame.
Dang. So you guys knew each other for a long time, but when you first met, did you have to be like, I'm sorry, your name's what? It's not Dante?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, you know how it is. You have a crush in high school. You kind of know the person, but that's how it was for me. Like, I knew Dant, and I knew his name, but we didn't talk a whole ton because, I don't know, he just was older than me, and I thought he was way out of my league.
Oh, wow. So, that's going to make him feel great.
Oh, I would hope so.
Fantastic. So he's probably definitely hands off, but how much did he plan the wedding?
Not too much. He is so relaxed. He really didn't care, so he kind of let me do what I wanted, which was really nice.
Something that he has to buy in though is going out on the hunting trips with the dog Duke, right? So how much do you come along for that?
Truthfully, Ben, I am not a huge hunter, mainly because it's just not my thing. I cry. Yeah. And so I went bird hunting with Dant several times in North Dakota, and this one experience really traumatized me because he shot this bird.
He actually shot an animal for a change.
Yes. He shot it, and it fell to the ground, and it hadn't quite died, and so I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden I turned around, and he was wringing its neck then, and it scarred me. I mean, I just broke down and was like, what are you doing to that bird? Like, you shot it. And so I can't say I've gone many times after that because it just really, that was an experience I don't ever want to have again.
Just to see what, the love of your life is capable of doing to a living thing is horrifying.
It's a little bit terrifying, but, I mean, I am all for hunting. I'm glad he loves it. It's just not my thing.
I would have, if it was me, I would have stepped up, right over and just shot it again.
Well, is that what you would... That would have been a good idea, Ben. That's probably what he should have done.
Keep your hands clean, but, I mean, I guess it has to be, a neat enough stuffing for it to be worthwhile.
Yeah, you should tell him that. I think he'd listen to you more than he'd listen to me.
Oh, yeah, probably. So, close-range bullet trauma is probably too much for the bird. Okay. So, what Dant does, he's an excavator, right?
Uh-huh.
So, one time when he was working here locally, he had to make that trip to get that sweet deal on the newly outlawed emission, roll your eyes, California ruled truck. How was the drive back for that? Did you help him out with that, or did you just leave him on his own?
So I kind of left him on his own. That was a totally random, crazy thing that he did. He is so funny. It was in January, just this past January. Randomly, one day, he was like, I'm going to buy a one-way ticket to California and buy a dump truck and drive it back. And, I mean, it was like a next day thing. Like, he had bought his ticket and was going the next day. Huh. And I was like, well, I can't go. Like, I can't get work off, so adios. And, yeah, he flew over, bought the dump truck in California, and on his drive back, then there were 2 rats living in it. And he said that one night he slept in his dump truck. I don't know why. I think he said to save money, but I told him to get a hotel. Anyway, he slept in his dump truck, and he said one night he woke up and a rat crawled across his foot. Anyway, that's the whole story. But he was able to catch the rats. There's no rats now. And it's worked out really well that he's had it, so we're really happy he went to California.
No rats to your knowledge.
Oh my heck. I have been riding in it, and if there is rats, I'm just going to have to jump out of the moving vehicle.
Have you ever tailgated? Because that's what I would do with a truck.
Oh, okay, no, we haven't tailgated, but when we moved from North Dakota, we did put all of our belongings in the back of that dump truck. So we didn't have to rent a U-Haul. Genius. A little redneck, but genius.
Clutch. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So, you have to fill it up and have a redneck hot tub sometime. That'd be fantastic.
Oh my heck, we'll invite you.
Okay, thanks. So this is a question that I asked Mike L. when we had him on the podcast. You know, he was a sports guy. He never had a cell phone. He pulled it off. How were you able to live in Minot, work in news, and not have a TV at home?
Yeah. I totally felt like I had watched so much news during my work day or watched the TV enough that if there was something I really wanted to watch, I could find it on the internet. Mm-hmm. So on my laptop. So yeah, Dan and I, we survived without a TV, and it wasn't too bad. It really wasn't.
Wasn't your family concerned for you?
Oh my heck, my dad. That was something he couldn't quite grasp, because every time we'd call him or he'd call me, he was so concerned that we didn't have a TV, and he was always telling me. He said, "Charlie, I have an extra TV. I will send it to you." And I said, "Dad, no. I said, it's okay. I said, we don't need a TV. Like, we don't really want it. Like, we don't have time to watch TV." Yeah, he was so concerned. It was really, really cute. He was just so concerned we didn't have a TV. He couldn't understand that we didn't want one.
You got to hang out with Mr. Young more then, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. The thing. You're Charlee Young Jr., right?
Yeah, I am.
That's hilarious.
Named after my dad.
That's hilarious. So, what's kind of the plan next for you guys, the young Windwards?
Well, we're gonna stay in northern Utah is what we've decided. We love being around family, and it's been really nice just to be close to home again. And so we're gonna stay up north. And Dante, he's doing his excavation business. He's awesome. He's so driven. I'm so proud of him. And, this year I've been taking it easy and helping my dad on the ranch, and I've been helping Dante with his business. But, my plan is to eventually get back in the news. Who knows when? I'm not too worried. I haven't been rushing to get a job, so kind of whenever, it'll fall into place. I know that I really, truly believe in God, and I know that it'll work out how it's supposed to.
Hey, that's awesome. And just so you know, I wasn't recording the part where you said you were proud of Dante.
Oh,
that's not going to make the cut.
My heck, let me say it again. I'm very proud of Dante.
All right. Hey, Charlie, it's been awesome catching up. Let's stay close here, and I'm sure a lot of people in Minot are interested in what you're up to now, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, my heck, thank you, Ben. It's been so fun. It's so nice to catch up. Let's talk more often.
All right, that's former KMOT superstar Charlee Young.